painted as a person who supported racism. That's just totally false. Imagine any of us walking around on your shoulders with a lie that you protected people who murdered a young man for no reason. I can't even imagine.
Can you, as best as you're able, can you kind of walk me through the, like it became very like stark and apparent to everybody in the courtroom when, Assistant Chief Oliver is on the stand and saying that she was never directed, directly countering what was in the indictment. Like, how does an indictment get drafted when, like, is there an element that somebody's not telling the truth? Like, how does an indictment like that get drafted, in your opinion, and, what does that say about, the case overall?
I think you should ask that question to the gentleman who's now running for the governor of the state of Georgia, who's your current attorney general. That's a great question.
In your opinion, do you think this was a political move on his part?
You should ask the attorney general of the great state of Georgia that question. I can't read other people's minds.
Based on what you saw in this courtroom, should this case have ever gone to trial? You all filed a motion earlier saying there was nothing to it, it ought to be dismissed.
I'll leave that up to you. Is this really what we're doing? There's a body on the ground in Satilla Shores, bleeding out. And this is what it's come to. You gotta be kidding. This is a total abuse of our criminal justice system. I've been involved in the past 2-3 years in back-to-back trials that has prosecutors corruptly, wrongly, and hatefully taking innocent people and putting them under indictment and trial. Something's got to change. No one's going to trust our system of courts. And to call it justice is outrageous. Jackie Johnson, Jeffrey Williams, countless others who are in prison right now, or who have died in prison, on false allegations, innocent people. We got to change this whole system. And the jurors and the media are the reason that we will one day have justice.
What would you say to somebody who said, well, ultimately this was dismissed because of the technicality, not a decision on whether Jackie Johnson did anything illegal?
I would tell that person to go speak with the jurors. I would tell those people to go speak with every one of you who watched every bit of this trial. I would tell those people to go talk with the witnesses. I would ask them to go talk to Attorney General Carr. And when Brian Steele is asking Sergeant Oliver, here is the indictment, explain to the jury how Jackie Johnson hindered or obstructed you from arresting Travis McMichael, and there's an objection made by Attorney General Carr's office. That is a technicality?
I'm talking about the Demurrer specifically.
It's called the law. Jackie Johnson was indicted for no crime. That's what a demurrer is. It's not a technicality. It's like saying Brian Steele is wearing a red tie today. Okay, I'm under indictment now. Is that a technicality? Or is that outrageous conduct by the person who signed that indictment?
Is the deal, and just, I don't want to drill down too deep, but...
You can drill down as deep as you want. It's going to come up.
I understand the argument on the Demurrer, because the judge didn't really tell his reasoning on the bench at least. There was the argument about the year, right? That she was indicted for her 2010 oath, which was voided because she took 2 more after that, right? And then I believe, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, there was an argument that this had to do with, that it cited the Crime Victims' Bill of Rights, which don't deal with anything that Jackie did or didn't do regarding the Arbery family. Am I missing something that's important?
Yes, you're missing everything that's important. Read the indictment. It's there. Jackie was indicted for non-crimes.
She could admit to those crimes and not.
She was indicted like I'm wearing a red tie. It was first
The action.
that you took an oath. The oath was wrong, but regardless, throw that away. She took an oath to follow the Constitution and the law. The second part is that she did not show dignity and honor. I may not, just please get those words right from the indictment, to Ahmaud Arbery's family. In what way? In what way did she do that? You heard all the evidence. The case was ended. What way did she do that? By meeting with Mr. Arbery in March? By telling him, I'm so sorry that your son was taken from us? By being under a lie from the police, just like Miss Wanda Cooper-Jones was? That Ahmaud Arbery was a burglar and he was murdered or killed, justifiably? And then by calling the Attorney General and alerting them that Mr. Barnhill will take the case without telling them that he already worked the case? And you're asking me, that's a technicality? All that's legal. You heard from Pete Scandalakis. He is the director of the Prosecutor's Attorney Council. I mean, I don't know if you know who that is. That man can walk in a room and the governor would stand up and come to him and say, how are you, sir? You heard from David McLaughlin. He was in that position of conflict for 23 years. You heard from a Superior Court judge in this circuit who was the district attorney. They all said, I went through every bit of it. You were about to hear from the director at the time of the GBI, Vic Reynolds. He's now a Superior Court judge. He was going to tell you that there's absolutely no crime alleged here. He was also going to tell you that he called Chris Carr and told Chris Carr, after this indictment came out, that my agents have said that there's no crime here by Jackie Johnson. Why don't you ask Chris Carr why he brought the case? So I'm not hostile to you at all. I'm answering your question. You're asking, is this a technicality? And I'm asking you, how did this get indicted?
That's what I was going to ask you. Stephanie Oliver said on the stand that, she never talked to Jackie Johnson and that she told the grand jury as much. Why does that case get indicted with the explicit language in the indictment that Jackie Johnson hindered Stephanie Oliver and Stephon Lowry, instructing them not to arrest Travis Mike?
Please ask the Attorney General Carr that question. And why didn't they call Stephon Lowry? I spoke with him. He said the same thing. I have no idea why my name is in there. That did not happen.
Well, I presume you read the grand jury transcripts as it sounded like you did in the proceedings. I mean, how did that? None of us have read it. It's been a pending court case until now. How did they reach that conclusion from your reading of that?
You should read it. It's an over case now. Read it. It's recorded too. FBI recorded these witnesses. GBI recorded these witnesses. Grand jury testimony of these witnesses. It's outrageous. And don't you understand what happened here?
Do you believe that this was political motivation? Prosecution.
I would ask you to ask Attorney Carr that
I
question.
want to know if you think it was.
It doesn't matter what.
Okay.
Do you think the witnesses called by the prosecution were more helpful to your client than their case?
Every single one of those witnesses cleared Jackie Johnson of any wrongdoing. Think about that. She went to trial. Think about that. And I was accused of delaying the case. Could you imagine? I was the first one wanting to try the case. It was my schedule. So where did that come from? Where did it come from that I didn't want Jackie Johnson? I look at us like one. That Jackie didn't want to have this case tried. Who made that up? I never said that. I said it every turn. We'll be ready for trial. I was on trial. So how does she get death threats? Imagine walking in her shoes. And the bottom line of this is Ahmaud Arbery and his legacy, his memory, should never be forgotten. We can't be doing this, but it can't be piggybacked on a lie. That is wrong.
I saw that after the case was dismissed, you walked over to Miss Wanda and you said something to her. What did you tell her?
She could tell you, but she's a very nice person. Her family, I wouldn't want to imagine. God forbid what happened. But this does not help. People should be honest with each other.
Yeah.
She said that she still believes that Jackie Johnson, she felt there was evidence there that she helped cover up her son's death or what happened to him. I don't know if you want to say anything to that. That was-
Well, she's been lied to for so many years. But if there's that evidence, I've never seen any.
If this had gone to the jury,
You should ask the jury, but they were going to acquit. Nobody. People are reason. Jurors are great. Jurors are great. They don't have agendas. Jurors want to do the right thing. There's no way. There's no way this case was going to be anything but an acquittal.
you've ever seen a case where you were so certain it was going one way?
Yes, I just finished the case.
First one.
It was going one way. But in that case, my client's like, you know, I got lying prosecutors, I got a judge meeting with witness without you knowing about it. All your motions are being denied even though you're telling me they're good. I got a new judge who's great, however, she's allowing these prosecutors to continue. I don't trust the system. You can get me out of here. I got a lot more things I could do than sit in this jail for another 90 days while I watch you work for an acquittal. So yes, I've seen it before.
We heard from Barnhill, we saw, brief clips of the way the police handled the investigation into Ahmaud Arbery's murder. Letting Travis and Michael go home, cleaning the blood off him, that sort of thing. Do you think that that is indicative of a broader systemic issue within our justice system, especially here in Glynn County?
I can't talk to, especially here in Glynn County. I can say this though, almost immediately. You saw a clip of it. I don't know if you could hear it while in the courtroom, but Ahmaud Arbery's body is still on the scene, and the father of Travis McMichael is asking, "Are you going to cuff my son?" And the officer walks up and says, "Why would we do that?" So I'll leave it with you.
Yeah, basically just going off of that, I mean, take you back to 2020, I feel like there was a real sense when 74 days passed and there was no arrest that the systems weren't working, like he said about Glynn County Police, and people felt like, and then the grand jury, via the AG's office, prosecutors felt like, Jackie Johnson was a part of that. Do you feel like that, I just want to get your sense and your client's sense of, the greater sense of Glynn County corruption issues when it comes to law enforcement, and have those been addressed? Have those been solved? Is this a distraction? Just talk to me a little bit about.
I can't answer what's happening in Glynn County. I can tell you this. Jackie Johnson did not contribute to any type of delay whatsoever. She recused her office and she was done. Mr. Carr himself made these appointments. I'm not blaming him, that's how the system works. But to put it on an innocent woman, it's outrageous. It's unthinkable. I don't know how he sleeps at night.
Why didn't they indict the police officers and the law enforcement?
I can't listen.
Can't do.
I know you spoke, I was a little behind getting to how was Jackie doing? How was she feeling?
She's sad for the Aubrey thing. She's sad for the loss of life of Ahmaud Arbery. This is terrible for them. To sit in this courtroom and be lied about, hey, we're going to get more justice, whatever. I don't think they can get justice. They just want their child back. And put it on Jackie Johnson. I think that this is outrageous to do this to the family. But she has nothing but empathy for that
So
family.
what's next for Jackie?
She can do anything she wants to do. I don't know what she is going to do. That's a great person. And now she has, unfortunately, but she has in her so much awareness of life, how precious it is, how easily it can be ripped from you, how easy it is for people to lie about others, social media,
Yes.
to just formulate opinions based upon zero facts. So I think that she'd be powerful at anything she wants to do.
Why do you
She
think
should be running for governor.
why do you think most of the blame got shifted to her when it seems like a lot of the officers on the scene had fault, as well as Barnhill?
Please ask Attorney Cohen. I can't answer these questions. And this is wrong, so wrong. You're putting logic to why did it fall apart. I can't answer.
Do you think it's unethical on the part of the AG's office to bring a case like this, knowing what they
What do
knew?
you think?
Well, I was asking you.
What do you think? How many cases have you watched? How many cases have you seen a directed verdict where a judge is saying there's not a scintilla of evidence? And it's not just like some throwaway case. That was the count, right? That's why you're all here.
Yeah.
She stopped the arrest of the killers of Ahmaud Arbery. That's a big case. And not a scintilla of evidence. What do you think? This is outrageous. This is unconscionable. The only thing that's good about this is you. Because you guys have the power to stop it. Because you guys really can connect to the community. I can't connect to anybody. I have, 12 people, but it's you guys.
On a just procedural legal note, you established jeopardy, right? So him tossing it means it's out. She's done.
Done
no more,
forever.
No more indictments. Nothing.
That's a good. They could not come back at that.
That's
Because
why
the
I
jury was
waited.
seated?
Say again?
Because the jury was seated?
Exactly.
So could you explain
Jury
that?
was sworn.
Yeah.
Could you explain that to a person who's not been to law school before?
Yeah, it's very simple. So in Georgia, I'm not saying it's different in federal. In federal court, you have to bring it before trial.
Sure.
Under the rules. But in Georgia, the general demurrer means that you can admit to all the allegations in the indictment, in the count of the indictment, and it doesn't set forth a crime. So you can't be tried on it. You can raise that before trial. You can raise that during trial. You could even raise that after trial. Because it's a void indictment. What I looked at, I believed, now correctly, that there was no crime set forth. But if I raise that before trial, it's within the statute of limitations. You know what that is? You know what I'm talking about?
Exactly.
So being prosecution, there's no jeopardy attached. So they can re-indict it. They can correct it and add something like, she stopped the arrest, unlawfully stopped the arrest of someone. That would be a violation of oath. Because I noticed that, I waited for jeopardy to attach because there was another count. I had to try that other count anyway, so it didn't matter. The other count being the obstruction.
Why do you think they wouldn't bring the most current oath of office and reference that?
You have to ask the Attorney General Carr. I couldn't explain.
And had they not put the date in there, had they not put 2010 in the indictment,
It still wasn't good. So you put 2016. Oh, it didn't set forth a crime. It said that Jackie did not show dignity to the Ahmaud Arbery family because she told the Attorney General some things. All of that is lawful. You can admit to all that. I didn't show dignity. Okay? That's not a violation of oath of office. And if it is, every single person who's a prosecutor should resign.
Yeah.
And so just to understand, the jeopardy piece applies because she was already at trial. So it would be considered double jeopardy.
Right, so now she is the state is stuck. They can't re-indict the case.
Okay.
Did all this read to you as sloppy or intentional?
You have to ask Attorney General.
I figured you were going to say that.
He's a good lawyer.
thank you, Mr.
No, and